Hello everyone, this is Turin here with a Warhammer Total War commentary video. I'm actually going to be playing Chaos over here, fighting against the Dwarves. So two of the lower tier factions going at it, but regardless, pause here for a sec, just go over army composition. So what I like to do with Chaos is very hard-nosed kind of, obviously as an infantry-based faction, you really got to play that aggressive style, but anyways, I got a line here of shielded Chaos Warriors for the front line, and after this most recent patch, I believe they all got a buff to their armor. I'm not sure if that was just chosen, but perhaps one of you guys can clarify. But I feel like they make a pretty good front line, definitely solid, can hold up pretty well against the Dwarven front line. Behind them, I have chosen. I usually follow up with them and hold them in reserve and kind of plug them in as needed. Perhaps if there's a point in the line I want to break and kind of have a leadership push, especially using Kolek over here. That's something I like to do. So I have those guys in reserve. I also have some Chaos spawns. So as you see when we get a little later in the video, kind of my focal strategy with going Kolek and Chaos spawn and also using the Chaos Sorcerer is to just focus on one point in their infantry line and try and force a massive rout in their lines, and hopefully I can break through. Granted, it's a little tougher with the Dwarves because they got that high leadership, so we'll see how that goes. Over here, I have a unit of Chaos Knights. I feel like, especially against the Dwarves, you got to take advantage of their lack of mobility, so you always want to have at least one sort of cavalry type unit. Over here, I got some Warhounds. I really like Warhounds for Chaos. I feel like they're really cost effective. You get around back, kind of sneak through little crevices, get to their cannon line, get to their rifles. It's definitely a solid unit. So let's begin. So here, he actually starts to move up, which was a little uncharacteristic, I thought, of Dwarves. A lot of times, especially against Chaos, you don't want to close any distance for him. You want to make him run as far as you can with these cannons. But he's moving his cannons up. I suppose just getting in position. He's got some Thunderers. Front line of Dwarf Warriors. He does have some Longbeards. I think he has two groups of Longbeards as well as a group of Slayers, which are not terrible. But anyways, so yeah, I start to move up here. Got a little hasty with Kolek here. I realized he was quite a bit faster than the Chaos Warrior, so made sure to pull him back here quickly. And he opened fires here, but thankfully these Chaos Warriors they do have pretty heavy-duty armor. A lot of folks will use Forsaken. They're still pretty decent front line, but again, I really like the Chaos Warriors for this. So I open up with a Fate of Bajuna here on his right flank. So as you can see, I got the Chaos spawn over here. So my whole thought process here was to just get in there really hard on this flank and collapse it. So he's going to pull back his front line now, which of course makes sense. And then these Chaos spawn are going to get in here pretty good. And again, these guys are already weakened from the Fate of Bajuna. They already have a morale drop from being frightened by these Chaos spawn, which is excellent. So then you can see they're already starting to go down pretty hard here. The rest of the line is engaging as planned, bringing the Chaos Sorcerer as well as Kolek, who gets in there and lays quite a beat down. So he himself causes terror in conjunction with the Chaos spawn and the damage from the Fate of Bajuna. Get the lightning bombardment in there, which is nice. It's always fun. So I notice his lines are starting to crumble over here. I was also able to get the dogs in here back on his cannons. And then, I use the dogs to distract his kind of reserve infantry, which, they're fairly expendable. So then I'm able to bring in the Chaos Knights here, cast my second Fate of Bajuna here on that same group, just laying a hammering on them, and then bring in these Chaos Knights here. So you'll see they get in there and cause a lot of damage, which was absolutely excellent. He was able to bring in some Dwarves with great weapons, but then, like I mentioned earlier, I had the Chosen here in reserve, just waiting to come in and fill in as needed. So I noticed that there was a weakness in my line there, bringing the Chosen, who will easily handle these guys, easily. So just kind of everything status here, got the Chaos Warriors with really high armor, just kind of tanking that front line. And then here I got Kolek. I noticed he started to take a lot of gunfire from his Thunderers, and I didn't want to lose to some leadership routing, so I pulled him back. Figured I could use him to chase down some routing units later, or bring him in when the Thunders have been dealt with. So now I grab the Chaos Knights and start to wrap them around the flank here. And then I'm actually going to bring them back against these Thunderers and just kind of collapse their flank. I'm not sure if he was paying attention to these Longbeards here. He might have been able to run out here, but I was using the shift routing function to get those guys around there, which was pretty nice. as you can see, this battle's still going on over here. Dwarves fairly resilient, but again, that line took a beating over here. So this whole area right here is going to collapse, and it'll open up the floodgates for these Chosen, as well as this Chaos Warriors unit over here to just push into his rifles. So got the cavalry around, like I was mentioning, right here in the Thunders. It's going real well. I also Feta Bajuna'd them, which just to completely crumble them. And I also was able to get these dogs back on the cannons, which he's allocating the Slayers to those, so can't complain. Those Slayers aren't my front lines fighting, so all's well. Of course, they'll be shattered at this point. They've paid their dues. So then I'm able to get Kolek back in here. Now that those cavalry have engaged those rifles, there's not as many. There's still some, but I felt like it was more manageable. So Kolek's getting in there, and then I noticed that he targets me with Ungrim, and of course Kolek was pretty low, so I pulled back there, not wanting to lose or get cheesed out that way, because leadership route is oh man, it's pretty rough for sure. So he chased me for a little bit. I don't know how long he's going to chase me, but yeah. He decides to head back into the fray, which is good, because like I mentioned, his line started to collapse here. That heavy focus on that right flank with Kolek, with the Chaos Spawn, with the Feta Bajuna, the leadership debuff of Kolek, all of that just really collapsed that line. So he's fighting in melee with his Thunders. The Chosen have broken through. This was the second group of Chosen. I kind of had them in the center, so they're going to advance on him here, which is excellent. Then over here, this is kind of I think Ungrim is over here somewhere. And this is Runesmith. I know he has Ungrim somewhere. There he is. So at this point, I grab Kolek. I'm just like, hey man, I'm just going to chase down these Dwarf Warriors over here. All of these random reserve units, because those guys can actually make a difference, especially against factions like Bretonnia. You get all these peasant bowmen infantry will rout and then they'll come back, and it's this chain cycle. So anytime you can chase those guys down, that's good. So yeah, right now, just kind of a pretty hard-nosed fight here. I got some Chaos Warriors over here fighting against some Dwarf Warriors and some Longbeards. If I'm losing anywhere in this battlefield right now, it's over here. Right here, I got Chosen. These guys are just absolute monsters. I mean, but for 1,500, you're paying top dollar. So I hope you get your money's worth with those guys. So they're fighting some Slayers and some Thunders who they'll easily dispatch of. They even get a lightning storm over there, which is pretty good. See a little Slayer go flying there. Right here, I got my Chaos Warriors fighting some Thunderers and the remnants of this Chosen group. I think they're just battling Ungrim here. So that's not the best situation for them. They're shaken and they're running. So Ungrim gets in here. So I decide at this point, most of his Thunders are at least tied up and in melee, and there's not really a big threat. So then I have Kolek over here. So I decide to chase Ungrim down and finish him off. He's pretty low, but it's definitely one of the more stylistic ways to do it. He just gets in there and this big beat stick. Check this out. Just goes tumbling. That's all she wrote for Homeboy there. So yeah, so at this point, it's just remnants of Dwarf forces. I got my Chaos back here, the Chosen, with the great weapons, just handling these Slayers. Definitely a bad matchup for them. And now Kolek really shine. He just gets in here, and they have little pockets of resistance, and he comes in here and just routs these guys. Not only does he cause terror, but just does substantial damage. And I have my Chaos Knights just chasing down the broken units to ideally shatter them. So yeah, I thought that was a real fun fight. I again just had a really heavy infantry line and overloaded one of his flanks and just kind of tried to collapse it from there. But again, just always want to take advantage of the Dwarves' lack of mobility. Even just a simple 425. I think 475 cost of those Warhounds is just so cost effective against them. So thanks again for watching. I'll be uploading Warhammer replays more frequently, and any feedback you guys got as far as camera work and all that. I'm pretty new to this, so anything you guys got, definitely appreciate it. So have a great day, and we'll be seeing you soon.